Sound design is something that can really elevate your video, and yet it is overlooked by so many people. And so in this video, I'm going to break down a recent video that I made for Adobe that I'm really proud of in terms of the scripting, the editing style, and the sound design. And I'm going to first play you the video with no sound design whatsoever so you can see what it feels like, and then play you it with the sound design so you can see how much difference it makes. Right, so this is the video with no sound design whatsoever, just my voiceover. In the chaotic world of AI, tech companies are racing to build the models of the future. But that's not the only race that's happening. Companies like Adobe have realized that it's not just about one platform, one model, but it's also about building a platform that can host many models, because they're all good at different things and users don't want multiple subscriptions. And so I've partnered with Adobe to show you how they're tackling this. Right, and now I'm going to play you it with all of the sound design. In the chaotic world of AI, tech companies are racing to build the models of the future. But that's not the only race that's happening. Companies like Adobe have realized that it's not just about one platform, one model, but it's also about building a platform that can host many models, because they're all good at different things and users don't want multiple subscriptions. And so I've partnered with Adobe to show you how they're tackling this, because you can now access not just their commercially safe models, but also other image models like Flux, GPT, Imagen, Ideogram, and Runways, all within Firefly boards. And you can then turn those images into videos using the Firefly model, Veo 3, Pika, Luma Ray 2, or Runway Gen 4, along with the ability to use style and composition references to change the look and feel of your video. But that's not all. You can now also generate sound effects by either using your voice or a prompt, and all of this is in one place. And so I think the winners aren't just the ones with the best model, but the ones that can wrap them into a user interface and workflow that you keep coming back to. So as you can see there, massive difference. Let's just get straight into it and start talking through some of the things that I have done. So first and foremost, I obviously wanted to have a bass track, like either my music or the ambience. I went for this kind of sort of like Blade Runner, sci-fi kind of sort of mystical, mysterious. I think it just set the tone of the video, and it just matched my sort of seriousness in the way that I was speaking. This sort of like, this is Adobe, you know what I mean? It's not a light, playful video, so I wanted something to match that serious vibe. And I thought about changing the track up sort of middle of the way through, but didn't feel like there was a really specific point where I could make that change, because sometimes I do that, but instead I decided to just play it all the way across the video, really focus on the volume being the right level so it's not overpowering my voice, and the sound effects can go on top, and it just creating the vibe that I wanted. And that's originally where I started. I kind of did a rough voiceover for the whole video. I went and found a track that I felt like matched my voiceover, and then when I found the right track, I recorded my video so that it was kind of like in sync with the tone and the pacing of the bass track. And then what I started to do was basically go through the timeline from the start and start layering sound effects. So the way that I did this was that at the beginning, I wanted like a really sort of impact, like a and you can either use risers, which kind of rise up to the impact, or you can either use, I think what the thing I was called is like a bram, where it's like a it's more like the impact and then it dies down. So you can use a different couple of things when it comes to impacts. I usually just search for like brams, risers, or literally just type in impact, and you can find different sounds. Like you'll get an array of sounds, and sometimes you just have to keep going through them. I use Epidemic Sound to find mine, but there's loads of good sound effect websites, and I just literally just go through them all, like clicking them, and then I'm like, that's the right one. And so for the first sound effect, I wanted to just create this sort of bram impact. In the chaotic world of AI, so it's timed to me saying in the chaotic world of AI. So it's like in the chaotic, so it's like boom. And then what I did was I found the track that I used for that sound effect had another two sort of impacts as well, slightly different. So I decided to place them a little bit further apart from each other on kind of like the sections where I felt like they would be there. So I'll just play it, look. In the chaotic world of AI, tech companies are racing to build the models of the future. But that's not the only race that's happening. You see, it's like a change in my sentence and flow. It's like sentence and then bang, again. Companies like Adobe have realized that it's not just about one platform, one model, and then again. So I used three of those there to just create these real three impactful moments. And then once I kind of done that, which I felt like was I find that the intro and, similar to like hooks, the first sort of 5, 10, 15 seconds, I think are the most important if you're going to focus on sound, because honestly, sound designing a whole video like this takes forever. So if you haven't got the time, but do want to start using more sound effects. Focus on the first 5, 10, 15 seconds. That's hopefully going to get people interested, hooked, and get them watching the rest of the video. And then I basically started to just go through the video and just think about what sound effects I wanted for each frame. And you'll see here that there are a couple of different lines here. These ones here are all kind of like representing the visuals of what's being shown, and then these ones down here are all the clicks. So I'm just going to go through the video now and just talk through my decision making on each frame. In the chaotic world of AI, tech companies are... So for this first section, I didn't feel like there was a sound that could represent what I was showing, so I just went for the clicks to kind of match the different elements being shown on the screen. And you'll see this is a common theme across the video. Tech companies are racing to... And what I do when I look for these sort of click sound effects, I'll search for like clicks or taps or hits again, shutter sound effect, and you just need to just find something that's just a tap really, and use different ones. And I'll talk about this a little bit more in the rest of the video as to why it's important to use different ones. Companies are racing to build the models of... And then for this section, I added a little bit of a zoom on this B-roll clip, and I wanted to just find a sound effect that was representing that zoom. I typed in like mechanical camera zoom, which I think added a nice just little like, yeah, subtle like zoom in. And then for this next section, I used then some clicks there to represent the text, and then also some running here. What you'll find is really important is just making sure the volume of the sound effects is just sort of balanced. It's the most time consuming thing. Sometimes things are going to be too loud, because when you're layering lots of sound effects, you know, you don't want ones to like overpower others. Build the models of the future. But that's not the only race that's happening. So you can see there's quite a lot going on here. There's my voice, there's the Bram, there's the backing track, there's the clicks of the text, and then there's the running. So, but that's not the only race that's happening. So it's kind of balancing that all out. I had the running loud first, but if you look here, let me just play it. But that's not the only race that's happening. That running just felt a little bit too overpowering. So yeah, I would recommend just testing the volume. Put it on your phone. This is the best test, is put it on your phone where most people are going to watch it, and play it through on your phone and just listen. Like, does anything sound like it's too loud? Make little adjustments to the dB, -2, -3, you know, usually, yeah, somewhere between there to 5 to just balance everything out. But yeah, this sound effect was just obviously representing the running sort of robots. It's happening. Companies like Adobe have realized that for this section, didn't feel like there was anything that I could represent in terms of like the stage, you know, that I maybe could have put some like crowd ambience there, but I just didn't feel I needed to. About one platform, one model. This section, again, I'm just using impact to the text. One platform, one model. I really love that hit, that like deeper hit. Like, it feels really nice and impactful with the one platform, one model. Bit different than the text here, but that's not the only race that's happened. Like the, where like I find that like, yeah, when you've got to really just sort of like bang bang, you can use a deeper sound effect. Whereas if you've got like a sentence where you're using the taps to represent each word, it doesn't work. One platform, one model. But this also, you can see, works really nicely with the Bram that I used here. Let me just play you it without it. So this is without the Bram. One platform, one model. Let me just play you with that Bram. It's about one platform, one model. Again, it's just a layering of just an impact with a slightly different sound. But it's also, and then for this section, this Bram kind of carried on through, but I did layer this with another sound, which you can't quite hear too much, but it's like an ambience model. But it's also, again, this is just trying to represent that eeriness of this B-roll clip. I think I just searched for like dark atmosphere. I just wanted like kind of something that was sort of, but it's also about to sync with like the movement as well. I actually generated this with AI. Like, it's like an abstract idea of a platform. A lot of people saying like AI B-roll and AI videos is useless. I don't think it's useless if you create a video that allows you to use AI B-roll in a certain style that makes sense. I'm just simply trying to just use the B-roll to represent what I'm saying, and building a platform. To me, that is a representation of a platform. Like, if you looked at that image on its own and said, what is that? You might not sort of say it's a platform, but when you say platform and you have an image like that, to me, that makes sense. Platform that can host Similar with this one, this is a representation of models. It's probably not the best representation, but I just really liked this visual, and I added like a little computer sound effect form that can host many models. I felt like that was a good representation of like models and that sci-fi sort of vibe. I think I searched in like digital sound, computer glitch. You'd have to go through like loads of different ones. Some are too loud, some are not quite right. So it's just about just like, yeah, just finding like the right thing to search for, like the idea that you've got in your head for the sound effect, and then just going through loads of them, and then you'll eventually be like, ah, that's the one. And then for this section, good at different things and users don't. Again, I'm just using clicks here because I've got multiple videos here that all potentially could have had different sound effects applied to them, and it would have just been too overbearing to have 3 different videos with 3 completely different sound effects. So I felt like it was better to just have a click. And then for this one, want multiple subscribers. This was probably my favorite sound effect of the whole video. So I originally just had the B-roll clip of, you know, it's just money, you know, again, another an abstract B-roll clip, and then obviously decided to time the subscriptions with me saying multiple subscriptions, and then just adding that cling. And this brings everything together. Like if I remove the text for you and just sort of show you what this looks like with just the B-roll, without no text and without no sound effects, and you'll see kind of how it all just pieces it together nicely. They're all good at different things, and users don't want multiple subscriptions, right? Let me just now add it with the text. Don't want multiple subscriptions. Now let me add it with the sound effect. Don't want multiple subscriptions. It's just really nice. Like you hear that sound effect, that coin, and you think money, and the cash kind of is an abstract idea of money, and the subscriptions is kind of related to money, and it just brings everything together nicely that just really just makes it make sense that this was about basically spending money without sort of saying spending money. Just worked really, really nice, and a good example of using B-roll text and a sound effect to basically convey the idea that you're trying to say. Partnered with Adobe to nothing really here, just put a little sound effect on the hashtag up here. Show you how they're tackling this, because you can now access. So for this one, I just wanted just some sort of like sound that represented like the elevation that's happening in elevation, or like the kind of movement. So I typed in like wind, air, rising wind, blow, like all these sorts of things. Couldn't find the right one. I just wanted a subtle ambience that felt like it was like that. Felt like it just worked quite nice. Again, just used some text clicking there again. And actually, I'll make this point now, right? When you use the text clicking, it's really important, in my opinion, you vary the text clicking, because if you keep using the same click or tap for the text all the way through, it becomes really jarring. So what I like to do is find 3 or 4 taps or clicks, or they're all kind of sound a bit similar but sound slightly different, and basically just make sure that I don't use them kind of one after the other, and maybe go first one, second one, third one, fourth one, and then rotate them back. And let me just show you kind of what that sounds like with just this track. First one, second one, third one. I think that's the same as the first one. Slightly different one there, different one there, different one there. First one, I think. Completely new one here. Completely new one there. Completely new one there. Different ones there. That's the typing effect. Different one there. Probably used that earlier in the video. Same one. You can see how it just creates a really nice variation of clicks and taps. Because as I said, trust me, if you use the same one throughout, it just becomes a little bit jarring. So really good to just vary them. All you have to do is just search for taps, clicks. Like I said before, find sort of 4 or 5 that you like. Sometimes you'll find a sound effect that's actually got lots of, it's like a lot longer than you want. You just want a tap. And what you can do is you just take the whole sound effect and just cut it up, so you just got one little instrument from it, and it's perfect for a click or a tap. But also other image models like Flux, GPT, Imagen, Ideogram, and again just using taps here. I really loved this overlay. I was trying to like show a list of the ideas and I couldn't think how to do it, and I basically just like layered a load of pictures in the background, like in terms of like popping up and then put a blur on them, reduce the opacity, and just created this nice fade. I love this sort of edit here. Imagen, ideogram, and runway. I think it works really nice with the gradient, which I also love. I got this from Pins and Curves. It's a website that allows you to just generate like animated gradients like for free, and you can apply this mist filter. You can put any colors you want, and the gradient I think really just added to the vibe of this video, that mysteriousness, that sort of feeling. Like you can see editing assets and style, I love it. Like everything just adds and complements to each other, and it's really important. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to use a really bright color like or a white in this video. Everything is very, even though there's white on the text, but everything else is very dark. It's, you know, all around this like mystical, mysterious, serious theme, and it's really important to like make sure that you have synergy between different assets in Firefly. Again, didn't use any sound effect here. Honestly, couldn't really be asked at this point. Just use some clicks for the taps, like boards. And you can then turn those images into videos. For this one, I then used, again, like a bit of like a whooshing sound to represent that movement of coming into the door. And then I transitioned that into this section here. Again, these are all just clicks, again, similar to the point I made earlier. Too many videos in here for me to sound design all of these. I think the clicks just works nicely because I'm just, with the composition of the video, just layering them. 3, Pika, Luma Ray 2, or Runway Gen 4, along with the ability to use style and composition references to change the look and feel of your video. This sound effect probably also one of my favorites. I was trying to, obviously, the sound effect is representing the movement of this style moving across here. And I was looking for like a digital, like a ticker sound, like a like to just represent that, like, I don't know, it just worked. This one took me a long time to find because like I know what I want, but I was like digital ticker, like, I don't know, I think it was digital ticker I looked for. There were loads that I didn't like, and I found one that was just subtle enough, and I slowed it down. I think originally it was like, it sounded like this, along with the ability to use style and composition reference, and so it was a bit too fast for me, so I just slowed it down, along with the ability to use, and you can do this with sound effects where you just change like the speed of them. It will affect the pitch, so just be careful, but do play around with the speed of the sound if you find that it's too fast or too slow, but you can also adjust the pitch by adding in like either the pitch meter, or you could use like an equalizer to just change the sound up if you want to get it back to what you originally wanted of your video. But that's not all. You can now also generate sound effects. This sound effect, I actually love this. I was going to use just a normal click, like, but actually I felt like you can now also generate sound effects. I was going for that, like that, you know, it sounds like, you know, when someone makes a joke and they go like, I felt like that was just, it just worked for this sort of like, I wanted to create sound effects that sort of were a little bit like, not extravagant, but like, I wanted to use different sound effects for generate sound effects, because I'm talking about different, like, generating sound effects, you know what I mean? That was kind of the idea behind this, and I think it worked with just that different combination of slightly different sound effects for that. So this was me just making a sound effect, and then I put that into Firefly, and it did actually generate that sound effect as a raw by either using your voice or a prompt. Again, simple one here, just use by either using your typewriter effect to just represent this. Love the typewriter effect. That's just when somebody's obviously typing on the keyboard. When you're looking for that, like, you could just search typewriter effect, keyboard taps. You'll get an array of different keyboard taps, some fast, some slow, some sort of weird sounding. You just got to, like, you know, keep looking for ones that you think are right for you. And then just a simple mouse click as well, which is a really just simple sound effect that you can use in your videos to represent a mouse click prompt. And the mouse click just represents a nice way of signaling that you've just done the thing that you're about to do. So I'm just sort of saying all with just a prompt, and it's like a, you know, it's like an action. So it just is quite a nice elevator of just signal to somebody that you have, like, done the step that you're describing, if that makes sense. Prompt, and all of this is in one place. For this one, I decided to just switch this up. I did experiment with using the sort of the thumping here, but I decided not to put anything on the one place. And I think that was just a camera shutter where it's like, shh. I just think that worked as well. Again, like I said, I used the bass sound earlier, and it just didn't feel right. It just felt like it was overused, even though I'd only used it like twice. Yeah, just got a wrong feeling about it when I watched it. And I was like, I'm just going to change it in one place to just something else that can just represent the text. But I wanted something not like a simple tap like I'd used in all the other videos, because I felt like this was a bit more of an impactful text placement because it's on the screen. So I wanted something just slightly different, that was longer, that was like a more of a unique sound effect compared to everything else. So that was why I did that there. And so I think the winners aren't just the ones with the best model. This is just as simple. I did add a bit of a running sound effect that I used earlier, but you can't really hear it too much. And I just went for the taps over the text. But the ones that can wrap them in, again, I really liked the manual camera zoom that I found for the other clip, so I just went and found a slightly different one. Ones that can wrap them into and I basically slowed it down. I think this, it was too quick originally. The ones that can wrap them into it kind of sounded a bit jarring. So as I said, I just slowed it down, but if I slow it down a lot, you'll see that the ones that can wrap them into I felt like slowing it down was a better representation of the actual how quickly I was moving the zoom, or sorry, the screen going down, and just not too overpowering. Made sure that I got that sound right. Use it interface and work. Just use some taps there again. Flow that you keep coming back to. And then for this section that you keep coming back to, I wanted to use different sound effects for each of the texts and then also time it with the music track. Do you see where it goes? Do 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 do. So that's what I was trying to time it to. Kind of worked, wasn't sure about that, maybe could have fine-tuned that a little bit better, but I felt it was just, this was the last part of the video. I wanted to just make sure that slightly something different, really like the framing of this text here, and I just felt like that was just a good ending to the video. Like, it just made sense to have a sound effect like that and it just end like that. And so, yeah, that was the whole video. Sound design can take forever, but it is well worth it. As I said at the start of the video, if you don't want to sound design a whole video, focus on, putting more sound effects towards the beginning, 5, 10, 15 seconds. Make sure you get the ambience right of your track and the feeling that you want to go for, as I did. And then maybe just use some like risers, some impacts, some little things to just make the things that you show and say just have that just impact that you want to get people's attention. And then anything else that you want to do later on in the video can just be, whether you want to, whether you've got the time to, whether you feel like there's any other key points in the video that you think deserve sound effects. Because this was a paid video, because it was for Adobe, because I had spent a long time on this, I decided to probably do more sound effects than I needed to, because I was like, I'm going all out here. But if this was just for my organic content, I probably wouldn't have sound designed as much. I just thought, let me just go a little bit above what I would usually do here. But yeah, it was very time consuming. I wouldn't recommend doing this for every video yourself, because as I said, you'll just eat yourself into the ground. But maybe you enjoy sound design. So yeah, that was the video. Hope that was helpful. I hope it just gives some insights into how I sound designed this video, some things to search for. Yeah, go implement it into your own videos, see whether you think it makes a difference, and then you can decide sort of how much sound design you decide to do in each of your videos going forward that is sustainable for you.